Okay, so do you want to just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're
Sure.
from, all that?
My name is Mary Belcher. I just turned 71 years old. I have lived in the Adams Morgan neighborhood of Washington, D.C. since the early 80s. And there have been a lot of changes in the neighborhood. I'm an artist. A lot of the places I've painted have since changed since I painted them. I guess that dates me. But it's an interesting neighborhood. The people, there's still a mix of folks here, and that's really a high priority for me. So
in your time being here, what kind of places did you see as like really good spaces for the community and for community building, and how have those maybe changed or stayed the same since you moved here?
that's a question I can't really answer. I don't know that there was ever an ideal space for community meetings. I think what happens in this neighborhood sort of happens organically and not by design. But we've seen the Adams Morgan Plaza disappear, taken over by developers. We've seen certain park spaces disappear to pavement and playgrounds. I don't know. It's just, like I said, I don't think there's a great deal of community organizing in the time I've been here. I know before I was here there was, at the time of home rule coming about, and people were taking back the power in the neighborhood. So in the time I've been here, I guess the most competitive situation I've encountered, or contentious situation, has been between the businesses and the residents. The businesses including developers. So, this is a residential neighborhood. I wish there were more emphasis and attention put on the residents. So.
And so, like, in what ways do you wish there was more attention to the residents? Like, what concerns maybe are there conflicts over that kind of thing?
I guess the concerns here are affordable housing, just like everywhere in D.C. We have none. We have none left. We have people who probably could learn to read better, We need less emphasis on drinking establishments and more on community establishments. We need a community center. We need a library. We don't have a library in Adams Morgan. It's one of the, most dense neighborhoods in the city. And why we don't have a library is probably because the real estate is just too expensive to build a library here. It would be better served in the eyes of the city for it to go to a business that can generate taxes. So.
And then are there any spaces that either are around now or were around before and maybe have closed down that aren't necessarily formal community spaces, but to you just kind of scream Adams Morgan?
Well, yeah, the 18th and Columbia Road Plaza is the most glaring example of that. And for about a year now, it's been under concrete barrier and fencing. Even though I'm part of a lawsuit by a community organization to try to declare that a public space, we're caught in court. We don't know what's going to happen in court.
Yeah.
So.
And then, do you see any positive changes happening, negative changes? What kind of things are you seeing, and what are you hoping to see in the future?
I think it's good that there are a lot of young people coming through the neighborhood. And there seem to be young people who are of a creative bent. That's positive. I think that the restaurants along 18th Street and Columbia Road have adapted well to COVID, to the need for outdoor space. I wish there were more non-commercial outdoor space, but maybe we'll get that back. But I think it's a neighborhood that's always going to be in flux. There's just always a diversity of people here, and that's a good thing. So I know when I go out of town and I'm around other cities, You sometimes see just black neighborhoods or white neighborhoods or Latino neighborhoods, but we have everything here, including Asians.
And then kind of just to round up, I guess, what do you love about Adams
I'm looking at a friend of mine who's Asian,
Yeah.
Asian American.
What do you love about Adams Morgan? Kind of to the question on the side of the van, who is Adams Morgan to you? What does that community mean to you?
What does the community mean? It means diversity. It means activism. It means pushback. Often that is romanticized, and it shouldn't be. It has to be based in action. And we have a very strong history here. I've been involved, as I said, in trying to preserve a cemetery of 8,000 black people who were buried right after the Civil War in one of our parks. And we've also got 2 National Underground Railroad sites. So I was involved in both those efforts. So I feel strongly that the neighborhood has all it needs, except for greater emphasis on the folks who live here.
And is there anything else you want to say about the neighborhood, about yourself, to kind of shout out, talk about?
I think people feel welcome here, and that's a good thing. So that's really, I think, the most important thing about a neighborhood is nobody's out of place here in Adams Morgan.
That's lovely. Angie, do you want to hop in with questions?
I had several, but I wanted to ask one question. That place across the street I used to love, Avenue Freya, was it open when you moved here?
Yes,
Can you talk about Avenue?
I wasn't a frequent visitor, so I can't really talk knowledgeably about it.
Okay.
Angie, we'll interview you about Adams Morgan.
Well, I'll ask you another question. Can you tell us about your art? How did you become an artist, and about your experience about painting and doing Adams Morgan?
Well, I used to be a newspaper reporter, and then I went to work with the prosecutor's office for several years, and working with lawyers for 7 years turned me into an artist. I just decided enough of that. I'm ready to go do something different. And
Did you have a background in art?
I studied photography in a half-hearted way, but people who are artists just pretty much are always artists from the time they're kids. It just depends on how much you want to pursue it professionally. And I was lucky enough to be able to do that and make a living at it. So I think life circumstances have a lot to do with whether or not you can pursue your art.
Are you in a gallery in this area?
No, I just sell my artwork myself. I've sold at Eastern Market for 24 years, but COVID put an end to that, so.
I like your map of Adams Morgan.
Thanks, a lot of people have copied it.
I think so. And you did all of that by hand.
Yeah,
Because when I first looked at it, I said, oh, somebody did a graphic map. I can Google this, right? And then I looked at it, and it's like so detailed.
it's a painting.
And that's why
Yeah,
I want
it's a
you
painting.
to show Corinne your hands. She has the most steadiest of hands to do all of that work. Are you getting her audio?
Not entirely. If some of it might pick up on
Yeah,
the mic's up there. So some of it.
She doesn't want to show her hands. Just do that.
Oh,
Steady hands. To draw all of those fine, intricate lines, little people. It's amazing.
I like detail. Yeah,
It is detail. Your work is beautiful.
thank you, I appreciate that.
The colors and contrast, they breathe.
I'm glad it speaks to you.
Yes. So I thank you. I will not torture you anymore.
Well, thank
But
you
I
for
love art.
those lovely compliments. I appreciate it.